So, this is a bit of an impromptu video. I didn't expect to be making it. I was sitting down today looking at the World Cup, actually. Got quite into it recently. And on pops the news, BBC News. Very trusted, well, the most trusted news channel, news show in England, I would say. Which over time I've seen put out some very misleading stuff, which kind of shocked me, to be honest. And as I was in conversation with someone else in the house, on popped what is on your screen in video format, that gaming is now being classified by the World Health Organization as a type of addiction. I mean, there are extreme cases, but I just want to read through this article with you because it's absolutely ridiculous what they're trying to say, and I will explain to you why that is. We'll have a little read through. I'm sorry if I'm laughing, I just find it hilarious. The World Health Organization's classification of gaming disorder as a condition which is capable of debilitating addiction is an important moment in the shifting relationship between technology and society. Right, gaming disorder. So now we're putting medical classifications on people who play games too much, because it's not just the fact that they're playing games too much. Concern among parents about the impact of smartphones in particular and the response of technology firms to those concerns has become a staple of the news agenda. I mean, smartphones they have games on them. It's kind of a different issue. I'm guilty of using my smartphone too much, but we are moving forwards in society and technology, and they're just very bloody helpful. Apple's much covered digital health initiative, I have no idea what this is, I'm not an Apple man, I'm afraid, was derided in some quarters, with analysts and punters alike sceptical about the desire of that company to in any way reduce smartphone usage, which is good to be sceptical about, because why would you want to run a company and then not sell your products? It doesn't make any sense, given its still heavy reliance on smartphones for revenue. And yet the remarks of Tim Cook about his own excessive use of a smartphone shows that the world's richest company, whose value will soon cross 1 trillion, is alert to the potential harm from smartphone usage. So let's all praise Apple for their really expensive, in my opinion, overpriced, yet still quality products, which are all getting people to use technology more. Backwards. It's very backwards. Last month, the Culture Secretary, Matt Hancock, reduced the maximum bet on fixed odding betting terminals. But if you actually look at the gambling review conducted by the government and the internet safety strategy, they announced the greater focus of attention is on how online gambling is becoming a significant social hazard. Again, this has nothing to do with gaming. Gambling and gaming are two different things. Loot boxes. Yeah, I know. Excluding loot boxes, gaming at its core is nothing to do with gambling at all. It's a form of media more similar to films and books, in my opinion. Sunday papers are full of stories about mindfulness apps, which perhaps ironically use smartphone technology to encourage users away from smartphones. They don't particularly encourage users away from smartphones. They just encourage a healthy lifestyle. I haven't used them, but I have seen actually adverts for these, and they're very good. From what I've seen in the adverts, I haven't used them, so don't quote me on that. But it's just helping to people to be healthier mentally, which is always a good thing. And look, smartphone, an app is actually being useful. And Jaron Lanier, an influential author, puts mental health high up on the list of his reasons to delete your social media account in a new book. Yep, social media. Again, social media is separate from gaming. It is also separate from smartphones. It is an entity in and of itself. I do agree social media can be probably more detrimental than gaming, to be quite honest. It can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. In moderation, it is fine. Although there are some crazy people on social media. A new hypersensitivity to the potential harms, both to the individual and wider society, from new forms of media and technology is spreading. It is in this context that the decision by the World Health Organization to recognize gaming disorder from today has to be seen. This is just I'm gobsmacked. Why the World Health Organization is putting a medical disorder on gaming. There are so many more problems in this world other than gaming. There are people that play games too much, but that's always going to be the case. You've got people that go to excesses. The majority of people, I think, take it quite moderately. And if it's your children that are playing games too much, it's kind of on you. If you've got an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old who's spending all day sitting in front of a computer for 12 hours a day, that's kind of on you. You've got to parent. I'm not a parent myself, but surely you can remove the consoles, encourage a balanced lifestyle where they can play their games that they want to, but they're also doing other more productive things as well. The vast scale and financial firepower of the gaming industry has generally been neglected by media outlets in Britain because the media is run by people more familiar with music and video content. No, I don't think that. I think it's because the vast majority of people watching the media outlets in Britain, reading the newspapers, watching BBC News, aren't people who are actually interested in gaming whatsoever. The majority of gamers that I know aren't that interested in watching BBC News or reading the Daily Mail or the Sun or anything, to be quite honest. People who game get their news from online and generally not from the big outlets either. But industry figures suggest well over 30 million Britons played some form of electronic game over the past 6 months. Well, that's very vague, isn't it? How is that an accurate statement? Well, you could say 5 months ago my nan played Space Invaders on a handheld electronic game. Does that count in that? I played Flappy Bird on my phone 5 months ago. That's not a true reflection of proper gamers. That could be anything. And the Sunday Times reported yesterday that game sales in the UK hit 3.4 billion last year, nearly as much as music and video combined. This doesn't surprise me. Like DVD sales, they don't happen anymore. There's not as much as they used to. I don't buy DVDs anymore. My main form of media consumption is gaming. I listen to music, but there are ways around that. It's just the dominant form of media nowadays, form of entertainment. It's more interactive as well. Vast communities spring up around games and you can get involved in them. There are some important caveats to all of this. First and foremost, electronic gaming is a newer habit than gambling. Well, yeah, gambling's been around for thousands of years. But both are enjoyed by millions of people in a legal way with little or no harm to themselves or others. Okay, you're trying to compare gambling and gaming as though they're the same things. I can see it already. Gambling is not little or no harm to themselves or others. Gambling can get very bad very quickly, as myself, I've lost a little bit of money. I'm talking like £100 on gambling. My brother has lost a lot more and got into a lot of debt very quickly. Gaming does not do that. Apart from if you're looking at microtransactions and loot boxes, I will give you that. They can cause problems, but that's more similar to gambling. If you're talking about general gaming, you're looking at your God of Wars, your AAA games, some of the indie games, they're not going to lead to harm at all, but gambling will do. And I say that as a poker player. Secondly, and predictably, the industries concerned are highly sceptical of new regulation. Yeah, that's a given. Even if it was something that needed to be regulated. Loot boxes again, I keep bringing that up. But they don't like being regulated, even when they need to be sometimes. Or any attempts to medicalise enjoyment of fun activities. Yes. Well, I mean, fun activities, gambling, I guess it's a fun activity, but medicalising fun activity, if you suddenly medicalised going to the cinema, I think people would be annoyed with you. It's a very strange thing to do. If we suddenly said, my son goes to the cinema 5 times a week, he never goes out. You don't hear of that. Gaming's always attacked. I don't know why. But if you sat in and binged watched series after series of TV shows when you got home from work or from school, and that's all you did all week, they wouldn't have a go at you. But if it's gaming, it's a problem. And the medical community is not always unanimous or consensual when it comes to agreeing on to new classifications. Nevertheless, largely undetected by mainstream culture, no, no, no. I think many people are aware of gaming. Even grands have been on the Wii. Electronic gaming has ballooned into an enormous industry, and this has been seen coming. I've seen it for years. I mean, the first gaming console I had was a Sega, and shortly after, the first PlayStation. Since then, it's grown at an incredible rate, and it's been extremely obvious to all of them. Look at all the shows we have. E3's just gone by. Millions of pounds on gaming tournaments. It's obvious, BBC. Are you living in the past? How have you not seen it coming? Creating whole communities online. Yes, that's a good thing. There's not a bad thing with communities. There are bad communities, but I've been part of communities online. I've met some amazing people through it that I wouldn't meet in my normal life because they just live in other parts of the world that I'd never come into contact with them in. Through platforms such as Twitch and YouTube, people watch gamers. Me as well, I guess, although I've just started. I actually love watching LPs and people play games. It's more for the personality, but sometimes I don't want to buy a game. I haven't got enough money. I prefer to watch a game sometimes. For those players, gaming can be a very lucrative career through sponsorship, advertising, merchandising, and deals with brands. Like gambling, again, like gambling, it's nothing like gambling, BBC. Who wrote this? Let's see. I didn't actually see who the writer was. Amol Rajan. Do you understand that gambling and gaming are two completely separate things? Do you specialize in gaming? I don't think you specialize in gaming at all, do you? You don't know what you're talking about. Gaming appears to be on a journey similar to that of nicotine. I'm not going to say anything about that. A generation ago. At least in respect of the medical profession. At first, people take up a habit with glee. Well, I don't know with glee. People were amazed with the technology, I guess. Then awareness of the costs, both social and individual spread. Victims. Have you been a victim of gaming? Have you sat down and played Fortnite far too many times? Did you never win? Speak out today. Campaigners lobby, and the medical establishment comes to a new majority opinion, and this opinion is based on people that probably don't know anything about gaming. I don't know that. It just seems that way from what I can see here. It's absolutely ludicrous. Where medicine and public harm go, regulators often follow. As new media and technology change our lives at an ever faster rate, the medicalisation of our new habits will prompt ever greater scrutiny from legislators and parents alike. There's nothing wrong with scrutiny or legislation as long as it's done properly. I'm all for that. But the problem is, gaming does not need to be medicalised. I'll tell you what needs to happen is parents and people need to take the responsibility upon themselves that they themselves or the people that they're looking after don't play games too much, because you can play games too much. I think the reason we've seen a massive upturn in people spending more time gaming is more to do with society and more caused by the media itself. BBC is a part of the problem here, because people want to escape. When you're brought up in a society where everyone tells you, oh, global warming, the world's going to end, oh, nukes everywhere, we're all going to die, the economy's terrible, you won't get a good job, life's going to be hard. You were told this from a young age. Why would you want to live in a world like that? I suffered from depression from a young age, due to other things as well, but the media has got a massive part to play in this, where it sensationalises everything. Like this article here. Oh no, gaming's like gambling. It's just as bad as nicotine. You're blowing things out of proportion. You're making people feel awful. So that's why I escaped to books first, to movies, to TV shows, to gaming, because these were worlds where, yeah, shit went down. A lot of stuff happened, but you could fight back. And Honestly, I did game too much, and I did isolate myself from the world, and I've come to a realization more recently that you need to have everything in moderation. And that's the key word, moderation. Gaming is good in moderation. As with many things, food is good. I bloody love food, but in moderation. We've come to a time where everybody's a victim of gaming. So someone says to you, would you like to buy this game for £40? And you say, oh yeah, I'll give you money. I will go home and I will play it for 20 hours a day. That is not the gaming company's fault. They want to make money. Sometimes what they do, especially again, I keep saying it with loot crates and loot boxes and microtransactions, they take it excessively far, but they are businesses. They're trying to make money. They're not going to try to operate at a loss or dent their profits, are they? That's what they're there for. But it's just absolutely mad to see gaming being targeted in such mainstream media, not prime time, I guess it was lunchtime news, BBC. People who don't know much about gaming are going to think it's the fucking devil at this rate. Well, anyway, I I do at least get a bit of a chuckle out of it, and I hope you guys have too. It was a bit of an impromptu video, like I said, but I'd like to hear your thoughts and feelings on what's being said by the BBC on this topic. Maybe you actually agree with them. Look, related topics, Fortnite. I said that, didn't I? I thought Fortnite might be a part of it. Anyway, guys, like I said, leave a comment below. Have a little discussion about what's going on. I'd love to jump in there with you guys as well. And I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.